It's January the 3rd, 2023! And you know why you're here, so let's kick this off, right? And introduce the players. Hey, I am Gerissar, a WoW esports aficionado.
There it is. There it is. And hello, I'm TreesapJake, and I'm a shaman enthusiast.
Yes, you are. Although, you haven't really been playing shaman a lot. I know you just hit it again, but you were doing a whole bunch of other stuff before, weren't you?
Oh, I've been dipping my toes into many a swimming pool of the ranged classes. No, I've been playing a lot of Shadow Priest, Flavor of the Month, Reroller. No, it's just I think the thing is that it's such a well designed PvP spec, and as someone that loves ranged classes, it's awesome to be able to take part and enjoy it. And I think
Indeed.
both Ellie and Shadow Priest are in a great place.
I think they both are. I think a lot of the classes are in a really good place. There's a few that are, I think, subpar only because I guess if you compare what you could be playing as a subpar class to like there's some outliers there that are just so strong. Like it's really like, why would you play Frost Mage when you could play Ellie Shaman?
Well, you
Right?
see, I've played a lot with the Frost Mage, and they do bump, they do blast. They're quite a scary spec to queue into. However, they're not quite the what I'd say the sort of like standing turret that I
No.
think Elemental Shaman is currently.
True.
What I've experienced in the limited time period of Dragonflight is that there are certain classes you just cannot, or certain specs, I should say, you cannot just stand there and tank their damage. You can't sit there and out DPS them and force
I
them back
know.
behind. And I think Elemental is one of those classes where you just can't stand toe to toe with them out in the open field.
Mhm.
So it's kind of scary. And
I
I think Demo Locks are the other ones. And yeah,
I
nightmare fuel.
found in World PvP and just like random battlegrounds, I found the same thing as a warlock against a warrior. Is apparently I can't just stand there and take a beating from some swords. I will die.
Well, what spec were you playing?
Affliction.
There we go then. Affliction Warlocks die. If
I
you
know we
played
do.
Demo, you'd be fine.
Yeah. Who wants to have that many imps? I mean, really. Well, aside from Lika, I know Lika likes his imps, but
Nika does. Nika likes destroying your UI
yes,
and
he
your
does.
frames and everything. It's omega
Uh,
difficult.
I have to admit, playing for the longest time, like during TBC and that, I was doing the typical demonology, the SLSL lock, which was amazing. But I never considered myself a demo lock at the time. I was like still thought myself as like an affliction, running around and dotting things. And then Wrath and Beyond, I always was like, no, I'm an affliction lock. I'm an affliction lock. So it wasn't until really, I'd say, BFA that I actually rolled to Destro, because that was, it's just insane at end of BFA. But again, back to like I'm back to like this mindset of like, no, I'm an affliction lock. So to try to break that and to then roll to another spec, it kind of feels wrong, but at the same time, I know that I'm gimping myself a little bit. I'm hamstringing myself by not playing the stronger of the specs. So
You know what's so interesting is that back in TBC, you were playing SOSL,
yeah.
but you felt you're an Affliction Warlock. Now that is the design concept that everyone loves about Classic, is
Mm-hmm.
that with those trees, you could pick from any bit and you'd be like, you know what? I might be dipping into a lot of Elemental, a lot of enhancement, but I consider myself just a Shaman player or just I'm an enhancement player. Like, for example, so in Classic at the minute in Wrath, I am swapping to Enhance for Ulduar.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things what you play at the minute for Enhance is you play Spell Enhance, which is basically kind of you're weaving in lightning bolts and chain lightning into your rotation,
Yeah.
and you're getting like bits of spell power, and that basically means you're kind of like a hybrid caster melee,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really really cool. And I think that identity doesn't quite exist in Dragonflight, as it were. Like I think at some point
No.
Blizzard decided, you know what, your spec is your spec, and that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, I think that was definitely, I think it was in Cataclysm where you really had that, like, when the trees got all morphed and everything, right? And that's where
Yeah.
you pick the spec and you wear that spec, and they brought down to the spec identity. And I think we're still kind of stuck in that a little bit. But yeah, I remember, dude, I remember running around in classic vanilla, and I was max level, and I didn't even have a full run on any tree. Like when I finally got to 60, I was actually middle of the pack across all three trees, because as I was leveling, I was like, "Ooh, that would be kind of nice. Ooh, I wouldn't mind that be." And then at no time was I thinking that I was going to have a limited number of points. And so it wasn't until after I reached max level, and then somebody was like, "Why are your shadow bolts so small?" Oh, so
Well, you know what's so interesting is that I don't even remember the Cataclysm like trees at all. I can barely
yeah,
remember them. It's so we've had the sort of different systems so much longer than we did because they all kind of disappeared relatively shortly after that. You know, from
yep.
Mop until literally Shadowlands, we had the kind of Mop style talents,
Mm.
and those have only gone recently.
Uh,
So realistically speaking,
Maybe
we
it
had
was more
four.
mop. Maybe I'm wrong. I
Yeah,
was thinking kata, but maybe it was more mop that's when
well,
that happened.
it was at the end of Cataclysm where you had those bars that came up, but in
Mm-hmm.
Cataclysm what they had is that you had, well, as what people have told me, because obviously I've been like going, oh, that'd be really cool to have a to go and do Cataclysm again, and everyone's like, no, you don't want to play Cataclysm. So uh, what I found out is that apparently you could only go down a certain tree, and you can only go into another one when you fully filled out that side of the tree.
That sounds really familiar. Yeah,
Yeah. So I
yeah,
think that's apparently what it was, but I don't even remember that. I don't remember that at all. So
yeah.
it's really interesting that kind of when that identity happened, and I think it is in Cataclysm where people were forced to kind of pick a spec.
You know, I'm sure right now there's some people listening to the show yelling at their computer or their radio or whatever, like, "No, it's like this, guys!" And like, so hey, if that's you, tell us we're wrong, please. Educate us, because apparently I have the memory of a gerbil. Um, and of course, Jake, not having played that, you didn't really play that X pack at all, so right?
Well, I did, but I was so casual. I started in vanilla. I just was so casual though, because I was at, well, I hate to say it, but I was at boarding school, so I didn't really have much time to play. And when I did, it was kind
Your
of like running around.
your parents put you in boarding school when you were 5?
Well, what? No, I was 13 when WoW came out. Wow, okay. Oh, you savage. I'll take. You know what? I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll be young for once. I'm happy with that. Um, no, I was 13 when it came out. So
That's right. That was too easy. I couldn't help myself.
you got. I'll take it though. Um, no, but it's honestly like I don't remember much.
No, fair, fair. Whatever. I mean, yeah, your focus was on different things.
Mhm.
Speaking of different things to focus on, what did you focus on over Christmas?
Family.
Nice,
Unironically, it was mostly just me and my girlfriend and my mum just kind of chilling, and we
nice.
had a lovely time. Yeah, it was really nice. And what about yourself?
Pretty much the same. Mother-in-law and her boyfriend came down and spent you know, Boxing Day, uh, Christmas Eve to Boxing Day, and we did, like, a little Christmas Eve supper and all that. And then they took off, and then it was pretty much just me and my wife, because my stepdaughter went to her biological father. So you know, I I got to play lots of WoW, because my wife apparently decided that she was going to binge watch a bunch of RuPaul's Drag Race and all the other iterations of it. So,
All right.
which, don't get me wrong, is very interesting. I actually enjoyed watching some of it, but I can only take so much of men, or LGBTQ2 plus people dressing in drag and being catty with each other, because like some of it's like just nasty. But anyway,
You're not. So you're not about the. She's about to. Hold on. She's. Was it? Oh no, I can't remember the phrase. She's. Oh, there's something that they say. I've watched all of RuPaul's Drag Race. And she's gone something about, I don't know. I tried, but I can't remember what it is. But there's a lot of sass and there's a lot of tea, and it's
There,
hilarious.
there is, and you know, you're right. It's funny in sometimes, but there's sometimes where it's just such a train wreck watching, and like these people trying to be either competitive and they bring out the catty side, or they're trying to be funny, but it doesn't come across that way. It's just not, and yeah.
So
Anyway,
like WoW PvP Twitter then.
yeah, basically, yeah. It's like Reddit.
Yeah.
Oh, Reddit. Okay, that's about it, really. One quick question, one last question for you, because I've only been doing like I only did a bunch of the brawl, the Wrathy Basin brawl, and that, which was totally awesome and fun. But I didn't actually fill out any of my vaults, so I can't even say what I got for in the vault
Oh
for
wow.
my warlock. But how about you? Have you got any tier gear yet?
I do. I have one piece of tier on both my characters.
Wow,
So, yeah, I'm really happy. The last reset, well, I got everything, which was awesome.
wow.
I'm really happy with that one. My thoughts are that hopefully, this reset, which is tomorrow for EU, I will be
Yep.
getting another piece of tier, which means that I can explore absolutely smashing people because the tier set bonuses for both Elemental Shaman and for Shadow Priest, I think, are a bit underrated. So
Oh
it'll
yeah.
be interesting. hmm I think the two set is pretty good on both of them.
Okay. I honestly, I tried. I looked at all the tier sets and all the pieces and tried to like wrap my head around like what was good and not good. And I started the alphabetically because it's all listed alphabetically. And I think by the time I hit maybe Demon Hunter, my brain was already starting to melt. So I'll take your word on it. Like I don't even know what the tier set bonuses was for Shaman. So
To be honest with you, I think they should have just they should have just disabled it. They should have just disabled it in PvP,
buddy.
and so it causes no issues for anyone, and that would have been that. They don't have to balance it. They don't have to do anything. PvPers would be totally fine with that. Nobody would
Mhm.
bat an eyelid, but
Yep.
they haven't done that, and I think that's a major problem. I
Oh,
think
you sound like you were reading my Twitter earlier.
I just
It
think it just makes sense, you know. Like
it does.
why would you do that? It would just make sense for them to do that in the same way that the World PvP one is also um not
Yeah.
able to be used in arena, and I think that makes sense. Like that was a
Yeah.
sensible decision.
Why does the world PvP tier set not work in instanced PvP, but the PvE tier set does work in instanced PvP,
Well,
but
exactly. That's
not in world PvP? My
oh, not
brain.
in World PvP.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know. Actually, I'm probably wrong on that. The PvE tier set probably works all around. That's probably all. Anyway,
I think I think it works
I'll
all
shut
the
up.
time, but it shouldn't work all the time.
Yeah. I You know what doesn't work all the time is our need greet and pass.
No, that's very true.
I think we should do that. Here.
This likely won't be a clean fight, so keep your distance, eh?
That's probably one of the worst transitions I've done. Let's
Well,
just cut.
at least it was today.
Yeah, hey, it's a new year. Why not? Need greet and pass. So Big isn't here. He couldn't make it tonight, obviously, and it was supposed to be his spot. So he was kind enough to give us something rather than making us come up with something at the last minute. Uh, Jake, do you want to run us through Big's scenario since
Yeah. So
he gave it to you?
basically, he graciously allowed me to speak on his behalf. So I believe the today's need greet and pass is the concept of solo shuffle lever punishments. So currently there is a massive problem with players leaving late into solo shuffle rounds, mostly to suffer a CR loss but retain their MMR, a sort of
Mm.
oversight by Blizzard. And obviously with
You're telling me that CR depression isn't a thing that people
what you
don't.
mean MM?
Well, no, it's CR because people are leaving and dipping their CR, but leaving so they keep their MMR, right?
Yeah, yeah. it basically means that they then queue up and they're at the same MMR, which means that when they win and they've got a lower CR, they get way more points and they're basically back up again in like a couple of rounds.
Yeah.
And it's easier
it's smart.
It's definitely smart. It's definitely taking advantage of the system. I think people will. I don't know. I think it's easier for healers because of the queue times, but DPS often have to queue for 10 to 30 minutes, and this becomes a massive waste of time when you get there and you don't get any points, especially if you've done perfectly fine, especially you were going 5-0.
Yep.
So obviously there's very minimal repercussions at the minute, which kind of sucks. So Big in particular has been very vocal about it. So he has 3 options. Number 1. Force the leaving player to complete 100 floors of Torghast on the hardest difficulty with no power-ups. Number 2, throw the player into 300 comp stomp rounds where they must play on the side with the bot. And number 3, make the player level a Holy Paladin from 1 to 80 in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Now, unfortunately, I think Big has made a bit of an oversight here, but I won't say anything. Gerissar, you go first.
Oh, well, I think the 100 floors on Torghast without any power ups actually isn't that hard because of scaling, right? So if you're max level and have good gear, you should be able to stomp through that no problem. So I'm thinking that's not a need. That's lower than a need. So I think I'm gonna do the throw the player into the 300 comp stomp on the side of the bots as a need. I think that's a worthy go do your punishment. That's a good punishment. Now the question is it worthy? Is the greed worthy of the Holy Paladin or the Torghast? And that's a tough call because it's close. Not gonna lie.
Yes.
I'm thinking. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Holy Paladin. Level a Holy Paladin from 1 to 80 in Wrath Classic. I think that's a worthy punishment. And the flip side is it'll help out over at Wrath Classic and get some more healers into the queues over there. So unfortunately that means the passing on the Torghast, although don't get me wrong, I think Torghast would be a great punishment, but it comes down to like it was such a close one. I had to pick one, but so something has to be a pass. But yeah, I think that's going to be mine. How about you, Jake? What are your choices?
Well, this is what I think. First of all, I wouldn't wish Torghast on my worst of enemies. And therefore, on that front, even though we would probably smash it, I think personally Torghast is awful. And because of that, I would have to need it because I think being forced to do that old content, have to go for 100 floors. And it's not even just how poop it's been trying to do it. It's the fact that quite literally having to run all that way and through some of those places was so annoying that I think actually that is kind of worth it for these horrible people that are obviously leaving. I think that would be worthwhile. So I'm going to need that. I think I think I'm going to greed. I'm going to greed. It has to be the Holy Paladin.
Yeah?
It has to be Holy Paladin.
Okay.
I'm going to greed Holy Paladin. That leveling, I was thinking at first that I think Big had forgotten the fact that you could actually, you could probably just go prot, and actually prot leveling is fairly easy.
Yeah.
But I think the idea in this is that you'd have to stay as holy. Which
I think that's the idea.
Awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just holy shocking your way through to 80.
Yeah. You're just holy shocking your way through, which would absolutely grotesquely suck. So I'm gonna so I'd have to say that's on the green. And I'm probably gonna have to pass on the comp stomp because the point of that is that you could literally AFK right at the back for 300 rounds. In my head. Like you could literally AFK. It doesn't say you have to win. You just have to just be in there,
Sure.
So
that'd
be my thing.
Even if you're just sitting back and not doing anything, which is probably half the time these people are AFKing anyways.
Yeah, watch
That's
some
still
Netflix.
that's still 5 minutes, 300 comp stomps plus queue time. I mean, you're looking at 1,500 plus minutes. Like that's a long. You're out for the day. I will
Yeah,
also
but
counter is that comp stomp's not around every week.
that's true.
So literally they're on a timeout until the next comp stomp. In which
They
case
are.
then everybody's facing, instead of a bunch of bots, they're just gonna be facing a bunch of levers.
Yeah, I guess. Be everyone fighting one another.
Oh gosh.
That'd be actually quite funny.
they
But again,
never complete because they all leave.
exactly. But again, I still think like you could AFK that. Like I could literally get on my Switch or do anything else for like ages and just chill. So
Yeah, I can see
that would be my thoughts on that one.
Like it.
So
I
yeah,
like it.
that would be need Torghast because I hate Torghast. Worst thing they ever did. And I think greed on obviously the Holy Palette and then pass on Comp Stomp.
So I'll be honest, I didn't mind Torghast too much. My first pass through, I got to the point where I was like, really, like because you needed it to power up, but I wasn't like trying to be cutting edge or up on the front, so it wasn't like a huge thrust for me. Like I was able to do it within without burning myself out. And I think that's really the big thing. That's why Torghast is just such a chore, was because they added power up value to it, and so you had to run it, right? Which is unfortunate. I think if there's no power ups and you're just running it just to get through it all, I would think that people could still clear it pretty quickly, because you're just gonna like beeline as fast as you can to the exit and just keep to each stairwell, right? In which case then you're not stopping to make sure you catch all the little tokens along the way and hit all the bosses along the way to get all your power ups and everything. You're just running it as fast as you can to get to the end. But
Exactly.
yeah, that would still be bleh. All right. Well, again, out to you, the listeners. Let us know what your thoughts are. We'll be making a thread for this one over on the Discord, and I'm really looking forward to hearing everybody's thoughts on this one. In the meantime, let's see what there is for actual PvP events in the next few weeks.
Get in there and fight! Stop hiding!
All right. So upcoming WoW PvP events. The only thing we actually know of is still the AWC, the MDI, which is those are all open right now for signups. So get your teams together, go sign up for that. And AWC, the first cup broadcast is going to be the 20th of January. I think the open bracket starts a couple days, like on the 18th, if I remember correctly. And the MDI time trials are going to start on the 1st of February. So literally, that's just around the corner. So get yourself signed up if you want to get on the tournament realm and try to get some games in against some amazing players over there. And then I think we mentioned this last time, but I was going to iterate again. We're going to be seeing this on YouTube and Twitch. So the whole WoW esports scene, the MDI, the AWC, plus all the one-offs that they're going to do along the way is all going to be on YouTube and Twitch, simulcasted, not only on YouTube, except for some of the ones-offs. So I think that's awesome. In the meantime, if we see anything, we'll definitely bring it up. If you see anything, please let us know to make sure that we can raise awareness and let everybody know about what's coming up in the future to do for esports. And let's get into our subject of analysis.
I'm gonna light you up, sweet cheeks.
All right. Subject analysis. So, Jake, it's 2023. What are you going to do? Oh my gosh. There's so many things to choose.
I'm going to panic.
Why are you panicking?
I don't know, because it's a new year. You've got to panic. You have a short little panic and go, new year, new me. Huh?
Yeah.
And then everything changes. No, in terms of 2023, I think, WoW, I think Dragonflight is one of the best expansions we've had in such a long time. The designs of it is so very good. and I think they've really nailed PvE. I think they've really nailed the talent systems. I think they've nailed the professions. I think they've nailed almost every single aspect of the game, except I think they're struggling a bit with the balancing of things on
Yep.
PvP side. That's fair enough, and I think there are a few other extra lingering Shadowlands related stuff that I think they need to work on. But in terms of that, like we've got one of the greatest, possibly one of the greatest expansions, and I'm kind of sad that not more people are enjoying it. Not more people are kind of trying to get involved in it. I think people are a bit wary. Obviously, with Wrath of the Lich King Classic being out, I mean, you should see Dalaran on some of the servers. It's filled with people. There are still
That's
people
awesome.
playing there. Yeah, obviously, it's incredibly good, but there are still people playing there all the time, which is awesome for the Classic community. But I think it feels like a shame to me for Dragonflight, and perhaps maybe one of the reasons why that is the case is because of the fact that in reality, people are, you don't have to grind stuff from retail anymore. You can just go in and do whatever you like. For example,
Yeah.
I've been doing Mythic Plus on my Shadow Priest, and I've been loving it. I did an 11 and a 13, and I really enjoyed myself, and it was fairly easy, which was awesome. So I will
Nice.
take that, and I think that's a lot of fun to do, and I think it's in a great state. I've also been doing tons and tons of PvP. We've obviously been doing solo shuffle as well. Like there's lots of
Yeah.
options. I think there's a lot that needs to be worked on that, but it's ideal. So in terms of my aspirations, it's just to pump the games, to play like I used to play and get as much in as possible and just enjoy myself.
Hmm. I'm going to count you slightly that I think there's different people that play the game, and I think a number of people are probably still in Classic because that's their jam, and they
Mm.
won't go to Dragonflight because it just doesn't, like, all those ideas don't tickle their fancy.
Yeah.
Like I said, maybe they don't have it doesn't have enough of a grind for them. Maybe it's just a matter of friends that they don't have any friends over there. They have all their friends on the Classic, so be it. Uh, I agree though. The game itself feels really good. It feels way better than Shadowlands did. It feels way better than BFA or Legion did for sure. This game, it feels fresh. It feels new. It feels fun. I'm looking forward to logging in and playing. Um, same as you. I was doing some Mythic Pluses tanking, a little bit slower. I only got up to like a 5 or a 6 on that, just because as a tank, I feel so bad running into dungeons and not knowing. But then, so I try to study it, but then I'm studying it outside of the game by watching YouTube videos of that, and then like when I get in, I still have that kind of anxiety, so it's just getting over my mind. But that's definitely that. Um, I think the biggest thing I find is I log on and I'm falling into the profession trap, where I end up trying to do stuff. I'm like, oh, I really want to build up my profession. I want to do all this. Like the professions are such a solid system, and that I actually like I'll have like 3 hours to play maybe for an evening, and next thing I know, 2 hours has gone by, and I've done nothing but like mess around on my professions, and then I realize that I haven't done a single game. Like it's just playing this little mini game. Whatever, that's fine. So I do what I can there, but yeah, I think so. I had an idea that I was going to stream a bit more. Yeah, actually, like stream on the Technically PvP Twitch. I was going to, right now the guild I'm in, they're talking about doing a PvP team, so I was thinking about joining into that, which is kind of its own issue for me because now I have to. That's a time commitment above and beyond just doing mythics, and
Yeah.
Prop Paladin isn't really a valid spec to take into any sort of rated PvP, well BGs or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, so now do I completely get a whole nother gear set and learn how to play another Paladin spec, or do I level up a whole other tune? Okay, now it's a whole other time commitment. Now I'm doing double tune progressions and that. So I got to figure that out how I want to do that. But I do want to get more into some group PvP play, because I do miss that. And then
It's easy.
It's easy to a point. I think it's easy to get the honor gear is really easy, but because I don't have the social list or the friend list to run arenas in that or or RBGs, because I lost all that when I stopped doing RBG run-ins way in the day. That now it's not just a pick up and run. It's not a pick up and go. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
I definitely think it's a hard one because we like I think I ruined RPGs for myself in um a long time ago in season 1 because it was just so like I did so many of them and I was helping so many people that it became a bit of a struggle for me to want to kind of go and do that
Mhm.
in the later seasons. I'm kind of still reeling from it. I wouldn't mind if someone else kind of took over, but I definitely can't. I can't really do it myself, to be honest. Like it's just a bit difficult, really. So, um, I'm gonna I'm probably gonna not do as much, but I can highly recommend it as a group activity. If you can get a guild
Mhm.
together, then it's fantastic. And
Yeah.
as you said, like you can get multiple tunes geared up very easily. So
Yep.
I wouldn't stress.
Yeah, I think definitely to get enough honor to get your fully honor gear is pretty easy. I mean, it's not that hard to do, right? I think it's more the conquest leveling and getting your conquest gear. That seems a bit harder for me in my head. Unless am I wrong there that conquest is just as easy?
It should be. I mean, it should be just as easy. Like you can just queue up solo shuffle or twos or threes, and you can get it fairly easy. It's very easy to cap, in my opinion. So
Mm,
I don't think it's personally that hard.
okay. So maybe I just have to get over my own mindset then. So okay, so I guess that'll have to be a resolution for me is to get over me, get past my own mindset. I see in chat, Mortai is mentioning that RBGs are tough to find nowadays, which is very true. I feel that the RBG community hasn't bounced back like everything else has. I've heard the same thing in similar spaces, and likely it's because there's really not there's no benefit other than um, a bit more points, I guess. But yeah, if that's all there is, and you're not, if you already have Hero of the Alliance or Hero of the Horde, or you have the titles and everything, like what else do you want that you can't get from any other types of rated PvP? So
Yes, I think actually it's a shame um about obviously the big communities. I think kind of dropping off because for example, when I was part of Oasis, I used to run RPGs there, but it's hard kind of putting those sort of groups together and not feeling burnt out. It's very hard to kind of run that each
mhm.
week unless it's your kind of main sort of thing, because you end up playing with a lot of people that really quite struggle to learn, and not that I'm against teaching or anything like that, or against people learning at all. But you're kind of doing it to a point where, and there are some people that just don't want to really learn. They just want to kind of get in there and run around and kind of treat it like a regular BG.
Yeah,
So it becomes frustrating for you to kind of like keep trying to repeat that, and it's going to burn your motivation, especially if you want to push. So
yeah,
it's hard. It is really hard. But I think the motivation, going back to our kind of like point on sort of 2023, this is the prime opportunity, I think, for us to get World of Warcraft PvP back on the map, because it's at a good point.
mm,
And obviously a lot of people complain on Twitter, but overall it's in a decent way. And I think with a few more balancing patches and a few more bits and pieces where they can hopefully either bring struggling specs up, and help basically kind of maybe nerf a little bit the sort of overachieving ones, it'd be awesome.
yeah. I think we'll see. Like, I mean, obviously, it was Christmas holidays. Most of Blizzard was on holidays, so there wasn't a lot of anything happening over the holidays there for balancing or any patchwork. I'm sure we'll see some patches happen in the next week probably. especially now they have all the Race to World First data, plus all the raid data, LFR. I think Second Wave just opened up today, so they're gonna have that data as well. So they'll have definitely more data points to figure out for the PvE balancing and the PvP balancing as well, because Solo Shuffle and not. You kind of raise an interesting point there, and this one I want to ask you, but I'm really focusing this one to the listeners. Is I want to know what the listeners would do if they had, or what they think they could do to help improve the PvP community or the PvP scene, just as players. But I want to throw it to you, Jake. Is there anything in 2023 that you would want to do or you think could happen that could help, like I said, to just help the community get better and improve and expand the amount of PvP players out there?
Well, I mean, I've got so many ideas, and there's I did post a video a few weeks back, basically about an idea I think of sort of doing a race to world first for PvP, and I think I know we've talked about this at length, but what I wanted to make kind of do is sort of try and bring that to light. And I think something along those lines would kind of bring PvP back into the forefront.
How so? Hello?
Hello?
Okay, sorry, I thought I lost you there for. So how? Sorry, how so though? How?
Oh, sorry. I thought you said also, and I was
I
like,
said,
yeah, no, go on.
how so?
How so? I just think it would basically, if you had a proper event, right, that was kind of like a big thing. In the way that Race to World First is for PvE, it's such a big event. It has so much like sponsorships and everything, and it really kind of brings a lot of people together. I think what that will do is having a similar sort of thing for PvP would kind of do the same sort of thing. It would bring so much together, and I think getting sponsorships and bringing sort of promotion towards PvPers and kind of getting teams together. Like, you'd have to watch my original videos to kind of see the whole details, and I'm happy to talk about them now, but it's all kind of condensed there in a kind of better thought process than I have now. But basically, it would kind of bring that same sort of level, and I think because of the popularity of the Race to World First and having a sort of PvP version of that, it would then also kind of bring light a lot of the PvP issues that we see, and then the devs would take more notice, Blizzard would take more notice, and that would do it more.
Okay. I think that's great. I think like anything, competition helps drive people to improve, definitely. And if we can get that type of competition to such a high visibility level where so many people are talking about it and so many people are looking at it, that then it would bring more people to, oh, what's this on? And then go over and then gravitate, just you kind of hit that critical mass where you start gravitating more viewers in, which then brings in more players to then do more things, do the same thing, or try to repeat those same successes for themselves. I also, I think some esports, I think getting more community esports out there, I think would also help benefit. Just because, again, like I think it gets more eyes out there, especially you have that critical mass where then you start hitting those high numbers where the people are starting, oh, what's this, and they start watching. Especially if it's different formats and not always the same 15 players or the same 24 players in the top 8 spots. You know what I mean? I think that would also benefit. I feel like what the Keystone Masters were doing for MDI and Mythic Plus Dungeons, I feel that what GCD TV was doing for just the community tournament stuff, with the constant things to watch and do, I feel that those being gone has hurt the grassroots side of esports and PvP, both the PvEP, VPP, and yeah, too many P's and too many V's.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think so I was talking to my wife the other day about this, and she was mentioning it's something that she felt as a person learning how to play World of Warcraft in today's, well, that was a couple Xbox ago, but still in today's modern WoW, is there's just so much, right? There's all these abilities, there's all the different classes, all these different specs, they all bring different tools to the forefront. And trying to know them, like just know your own abilities and learn them is not that easy, because you're kind of just thrown at the game and go for it, learn how to play. But in the meantime, while these people are extremely green and trying to learn, they are constantly running into and grouping with or playing with veterans who are like, oh, you don't know anything, you're a noob, and then you just get dunked on. And she was bringing up a really interesting point where she thought it would be great if there was some more hands-on coaching, right? So that because if you wanted to get into World of Warcraft, the game has a little bit of coaching along the way, but there's a certain point where it just lets go of you, and you just kind of either run or you crawl, and sometimes you just fall over and flop. But either way, if you're not running, you're getting run over by all the other players that are running at the same, at top notch speed.
Yes.
Yeah, I think if there was some way to do like one-on-one coaching, IRL, I think would be phenomenal. I think that's one thing that's missed, especially in the competitive scenes, to try to get newer players up and understanding the game better than just telling them to watch some VODs and try to figure it out. I like that one, Lika. 1v1 comp stop where you can reset fast. That'd be a fun sandbox. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, League of Legends has that. You can do your own custom games, and you can 1v1 bots and practice and do all that sort of thing. So if they have the technology for it, why not? Why not get an arena out where you kind of have a bot that kind of does that sort of thing, and you can kind of learn how to play your class versus very kind of scripted boss, but it's still something, at least something good. That would be kind of really cool. I think all of that sort of really helps players get into arena and kind of learn it. I think another thing is kind of visibility on it, and sort of just and teaching as well, and just kind of getting people excited for it by explaining it and explaining the rich history that we have in this competitive scene. I think this is the year for it. We should make the most of it.
I don't disagree. I think that would be awesome. So going back to the whole RuPaul thing, and I mentioned that on purpose because I remember it wasn't the RuPaul show itself, but it was one of the spinoffs. But they said describe X or Z with just a word. So I'm gonna ask you, Jake, for yourself, if you could describe what your aspirations, plans, or goals are for World of Warcraft and your PvP, the PvP side of it, in one word for 2023, what do you think it would be?
I mean, for me, it would have to be massive, because my aspirations are huge. That's what I've always been a very ambitious person, regardless of whatever I've done. And for me, I really want to do a lot more. I feel like I have the capability to not only help our small little community get back onto the big stage, as long as I've got the support behind me. I feel like it'd be really awesome to do. And obviously, for my own personal aspirations, that's kind of what I want to do. And that's how I've always been. I want to get the rating. I feel like I work hard towards getting, and I want to play with my friends. I want to have a good time, and I want to create some really good content. And that's kind of really it. So,
Nice.
I feel like that's my inspiration. So massive is the thing, because I want to aim high.
Massive. I like it. I'm going to say growth. I want
Okay.
to grow myself as a person, like, overcome some of my anxieties about, you know, the higher competitive play, get over my mindsets. I want to grow, just, general, just grow my CR, grow my MMR, grow my characters. I would also love to grow, or either by direct participation, direct interaction, or indirectly, just, being as an influencer or something like that. But I'd love to grow the esports side. I really feel that there's that whole grassroots esports is really missing in the whole World of Warcraft community. And I'd love to see that grow again. So I'm gonna pick growth. But I like yours. Your goals are very big, very ambitious, very massive. But I think you can do it. Dude, man, you got the energy and the mindset to definitely do it. I won't disagree there.
My fading youth is on my side still. Hopefully.
Get off my lawn.
My fading youth as an old back in my day. No, it's. I think now's the time. Like it's everything's on a massive high. Like everyone wants to absorb content. I think I would love to do grassroots esports. I think it's possible. I have an idea for it, but again, like I'll talk about it more like another time. Like the video is out there, guys. If you are interested in watching that video, it's on my channel. It's called Race to World First, but for PvP. Do check it out, see what you think, because it could be something that you might be interested in, and we need all the help we can get. I know that I've got some plans for it, but it's not something maybe for now. Maybe it'll be in the future. Maybe for the second season of Dragonflight. But if we could get something like that, I feel like it could really sort of like it wouldn't. I think the Race to World First with PVE has made it possible for people to kind of do charity work and to discuss balancing and everything like that. Lots of different things. So in a similar way, we could do a broadcast for that competition.
Mhm.
The competition is the Race to the World First Arena Masters, which is explained in the video. And in that, with that, for people that want to watch it, PvEers that might be a bit bored, or progression's not happening for the Race to the World First, or the Race to the World First is over, and they want to watch us. It will teach them about PvP and teach them about what they feel like is a part of the game that they have no idea about. And maybe like, oh yeah, I want to get involved in arena. And then maybe sort of like try and find a way for us to calm the community down.
Yeah. I think
Because we're rabid. Like
yeah.
the amount of sort of like awful kind of comments that are made, like why would anyone want to do PvP with some of the comments you see on Twitter and stuff? But at the same
Yeah.
time, you get that in PvE as well. So it's just I feel like the Race to World First bands PvEers together. Why don't we do something for us? Why don't we do something that will create an awesome opportunity
Mhm.
for us to grow? And I think this could be it.
I don't disagree. And yeah, you kind of beat me to what I was trying to think of how to word it, but I think you're right. Is that the PvPers, the PvP community it's almost been like we've been left to our own devices too long. We kind of got a little feral. That yeah,
Yes.
we're definitely rabid. It's yeah. I feel sorry for for any dev that tries to stick their hand in that cage to like try to try to soothe us, and I don't know what comes back out of the cage, but their hand is probably never the same.
What it needs is it needs a little bit of like a cringe caster to come out there and be like, hey guys, it's me and I'm here to talk about PvP. And then everyone's like, oh, he's awful, but then also I can't stop watching. And then suddenly
Mhm.
there's 30,000 people watching the Race to World First with PvPers, and suddenly Blizzard are like, oh well, there's a lot of interest here. Maybe
Yep.
we can be an MLG sport esport again. And then that's what happens. And then suddenly they're like, well, we'll make sure we balance more. We'll make sure that we'll talk to high rated players more. We'll value their input. Maybe we'll do more to kind of promote the events,
Mhm.
promote solo shuffle experiences, promote all of that sort of stuff. Because
Yeah.
then suddenly it's just like this explosion of content for everyone, and just everything feels great. Like in the same way that PvE does. I genuinely think because of Mythic Plus and the Race to World First, that is why it's so well balanced.
I don't disagree. I think that'd be awesome. And I do thank you again, chat. Love the conversations, but yeah, I think the solo shuffle side definitely has some strong esports potential. I don't disagree.
What would it be like? What would you do? Like, what if you were in charge of WoW esports and solo? You were like, okay, we've got this new mode, solo shuffle. How would you organize that?
Uh, I think the way they did it is fine. Where you have people queue up or
Mhm.
sign up. You have your even spots of healers and DPS. There'd probably be some sort of cutoff. You'd have to have a limit on the number of people that can sign up. No different. I really don't know if you could do the open PvP the same, but I mean, I think maybe there's a way. And then just do what they have, where you run a bunch of rounds and you get points for the number of wins you have, and then it just kind of keeps the pool of people competing just keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until you end up with just 6 players, 2 healers and 4 DPS.
I suppose you could actually do competitions on that because
Yeah.
you can already do war games with solo shuffle.
Yep.
So
They built it in.
um, yeah, it's already built in there. So you could actually do that sort of thing where you get
Mhm.
the best of everyone to do like a round robin sort of thing in the kind of the same way that you have like a World Cup opening stage where like you have like different lobbies or different groups, I suppose, that kind of like do their whole rounds together. And when they're done, they sort of you kind of like you got out of the group stages, now you get into the next lobby and it kind of
Mhm.
progresses that way. Really great way of doing it.
Yeah, I think it's doable. I think the big thing is with the popularity that it was. uh I say was because popularity right now is waning because of all the issues we discussed earlier. But I think with popular it was, the first sign up would probably be quite massive. I feel like it would almost take a week to get through all the group play to whittle it down to the top 8 or something
Do you
like
not
that.
think it would be quite quick actually? Because like if everyone was there, like if you
Well,
just went, okay, well, this is what we've got. Like everyone has to turn up on this day, and you get absolutely everyone in there, host all the lobbies. It
yeah,
should be all
maybe.
right.
Yeah, again, it depends on how many players you have, right? How many plays you have to do, 6 rounds each group. All right, yeah, it takes time. We'll see. And then there's always hiccups. You always want everybody to be there. Trust me, it never works out that way. There's Murphy's Law works in tournament organization and administration. Trust me on that.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
So I think that could work, and that would actually be easy to organize anyway, just for your you know,
Yeah.
individual way. So
I think one thing we didn't really, it might be have inferred, but I think it's worthy of speaking directly to it, is also the classic esports side. I feel that there's still a lot of potential there as well, of doing community esports for classic World of Warcraft or Wrath of the Lich King. And
yes,
I have to take a look at the data sets, but I'm pretty sure when I took a look right around Christmas time, when I was trying to think about what I would do for esports if I could in 2023, I remember seeing a bunch of the maps there are also war game, uh, not just arena ones, but the BGs. So you could actually run uh, battleground war games in Wrath Classic.
oh damn,
that
that would be cool. I
that
mean,
was a
you could.
little, yeah.
I mean, if you chose something that didn't have a timer, like a map that didn't have a timer, like was point based, you could literally just get 10. You could get 20 people in there dueling one another.
Yeah.
Like all of that would work 100%.
Yep. Yeah, you could. You get did they do that back in TBC Classic?
I'm not
There
sure.
was a community there's some dueling tournaments, and that's what they had everybody into a battleground so they could all be in PvP. Like all the PvP stuff is turned on and whatnot. And it was just like, okay, you and you, and they went like into the center, and then they just battled. And then it was, okay, you and you, and then every once in a while they'd have to like, Everybody get out of the battleground, re-queue the war game, come back in. Yeah, it was pretty funny. It was pretty cool. But yeah, classic RPGs. I think that would be fun.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, I think
It'd be
so.
fun. It would basically be. I think the team that would win would be the one that has, that goes 4 elemental shamans, and 2 warlocks, and oh no, or like 3 elemental shamans, 1 rogue, and 3 warlocks. And I think that would be
Yep.
the best team there because they just pump like they are just BG menaces, Ellie shamans.
Yeah, I remember. Those Ellie shamans hurt. Damn it.
Dude.
All right. I think love the conversation. I don't know if there's much more we could really say about our aspirations. I'd love to hear players' aspirations. I really want to. I love to get more conversation going on with community. So if you're interested, head on over to our Discord, folks. Head over. It's a Bonus World Productions Discord. There's a channel just for technically PvP there. You can mute a whole bunch of other channels if you don't care about all the other games or the other podcasts that they host there. But get on, have a conversation. Like there's lots of people that love to talk in there. So I'd love to hear everybody's aspirations for 2023. We always do this though. We always have the last question, the one thing you would change. I'm gonna take and ask you, Jake, for 2023, what's one thing you would have the Warcraft team change about PvP?
Well, that's a hard question, because I feel like there's so much I would want them to change,
Yeah.
and I think the main one off at the top of my head is visibility. I think PvP is just not something they talk about much. Like the game is very much kind of like you can do this dragon riding and you can do this and you can explore this storyline here instead of in kind of embracing the heritage of WoW PvP. You
Yeah.
know, like take League of Legends, right? You know, like we've got the League of Legends World Cup, you've got this, you've got that, you've got the LCS, you've got the LEC or whatever it is. Like it's all these massive tournaments that build up basically a big part of what League of Legends is, which is
Yep.
this huge esports monster. And WoW used to have that. Like it was an MLG esport at
It
one
was.
point during Wrath of the Lich King. So in my head, it makes sense for them to kind of embrace that and go take part in this in what was like a world breaking esports and play arena. We now have solo shuffle. I want that. I would love to see them make the change to do that because there will be people out there going, oh, you know what? I play this game and I play that game, but it doesn't really itch me. Like it's kind of bored. And they could just, okay, well, I make a character, I level this character in a very easy way, which it is easy in Dragonflight. And now I can step into the arena, I can do solo shuffle, I can do RPGs. There's so many options for me, and I'm basically following in the footsteps of giants. And
Yeah.
and those giants are also still casting WoW for us and still playing. So
Yep. Yeah, I got into PvP because of watching all the machinima montages and all that stuff. That's what really got me wanting to really get into it and try to mimic those people. Not raiding and even think, I didn't even think that there was a race to world first or even any of that. Like, that didn't make me want to raid harder or be better at raiding or anything that I can think of.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I don't disagree. Ooh, this is my turn now, isn't it?
It is
Um,
indeed.
I was gonna say something, but then somebody said it in chat, so now I don't want to say it because it would sound like I was taking that one. So I think if I could change one thing about PvP in 2023, I would. I honestly, I want to have a fixed number of seasons, a fixed number of weeks in 2023. I think I'd love to have that. Like actually, 52. There's 52 weeks in a year. If you split that down into 4, what is that? That's or sorry, yeah, it's 13-week seasons. Is that math out right?
I don't know. I'm not good at maths.
13 weeks. So I'd love to have a flat 13-week season iteration per year. So yeah, so four seasons every year, and I understand that's completely desync from the PvE side. I know that caused a bunch of headaches with raid tier and all that other stuff, and I don't know what the solution is there. Other than obviously that's big. It's bigger and harder than just saying, okay, 13 weeks each season done. But I'd love to see that. I think that's a valid, and having that every time you started a season, you knew that you had 13 weeks to get the rating you wanted, and you could goal set ahead of that. Look ahead, not start the season and have to burn yourself out or push really hard in certain ways that are uncomfortable for you, not knowing when it was going to end. And worse yet, if you end up burning out because you don't see the end until there's the 2 week notice that it's going to end. I hope that made sense.
No, that definitely did make sense. I think kind of making yourself aware of what is and kind of isn't the sort of like your timing, you can kind of prioritize, because I mean, think about Shadowlands, where it was so long and just so disproportionate that you couldn't really figure that out. You had to kind of like just do what you did. And I remember there were months in Shadowlands where I wasn't even playing the game because I was like, I couldn't bear to play it. So
well, that's a whole other problem, buddy.
No, that is, but at the same time, I had no idea how long was left. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So what was I meant to do?
Yep. I think the now I want to do another one. Crap. Okay, I won't do it. I'll say that one for. All right, rating decay.
Rating decay.
Yeah. Put in rating decay. So then, if a player makes 2,400 in the first week and decides to then not play for whatever reason, that over weeks that rating drops down to 2,000 or 1,900, and then they have to climb back up if they want to get back up to rank 1.
Yeah. I think that's a very valid thing to say.
Yep. All right. I think that's about it. This is going to be a really short podcast. I hope people don't mind. I have a feeling that people are going to be looking at their watches right now and be like, "We're already to the news? What's going on?"
I think if we had Big here and we had the three of us able to talk about it all, I think like there's only so much that me and you can kind of go back and forth going, yeah, Gerissar, I totally agree with you. That's exactly what we should be doing. Because Big would be here, we're going totally like, actually, guys, this is what should be happening. And we'd be like, Big, you are so wise. You're so smart and wise. Why did we not think about that? That's what would be happening right now. But he's not here, sadly. So it's just the two of us going like, go us, go team. Yeah.
Slap each other on the back and say, good job.
You know what? Yeah, we came up with some amazing solutions. Now, Blizzard, it is up to you to implement them.
Yeah. Why isn't Blizzard doing all this stuff? Why does it have to be us? All
exactly.
Right. Speaking of things Blizzard are doing, let's talk in the news.
All right. Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop ass?
All right. Another bad transition. I got to get better at these. Hot fixes. There really wasn't many. Again, like I said, it was vacation for most of Blizzard. There was a few for the raid. I don't know if you heard or saw. Echo ended up getting world first, and then Liquid close behind them got second. And really, my understanding of it is the main reason is that the last boss got nerfed. So while Liquid was still asleep and recovering from slamming their face against the boss, Blizzard came in and nerfed the boss, and Echo walked in and first kill for the day, if I'm not mistaken, killed it and took him out. And
that's pretty much
got ruled first. That kind of feels bad. Not gonna and nerfed a lot. Like it wasn't like a little tweak. Like it was like, okay, like they just like, okay, let's get the race done. Let's let people get home and whatever. That said, I will say the third place and fourth place with Method and what's the other team now? I'm gonna brain fart the team. Big BDGG, I think. That was really good. Apparently, apparently everybody took a break. They went and did Christmas and everything. They came back, I think, right after Christmas, Boxing Day, and they went back at it, and then got third and fourth, which I think is awesome.
Yes, that iteration of the Race to World First is precisely what I'm talking about in terms of what the quality of that whole production is. Is that even when Echo and Liquid had finished and everyone's like, yeah, great, first and second were done, the fact that third and fourth were so hotly contested and that these teams have gotten to a point where, you know what, it isn't just Echo and Liquid who are the big players and the big competitors. You've got Method and BDGG who are doing fantastic, like amazing work. So that is entertaining. And in the fact that the third and fourth was actually probably more entertaining than the close run between first and second, because let's face it, we always know who's going to win. It's either one of them. And it's usually kind of, I don't think it's very close often. Like, I think it's kind of like one of them either consistently does well and then pushes through, or the other one kind of like goes to bed and then just slams it the next day. And that kind of seems to be the sort of what seems to be happening most of the time. So I really love that we have a third and fourth that is so competitive.
Well, I mean, honestly, the whole top four were extremely competitive. I think everybody did as well as they did because they had people to compete against, not just themselves, but they had that other side just to push them harder. The knowledge that there was somebody back there breathing on their neck to push harder and faster, I think is it's what really brings out the best in humanity is our competitive nature, that drive to try to do better.
Exactly.
You can only push against your own time so much, and I can attest to that. I gave up on certain dragon riding routes. I'm like, yeah, this is as good as I'm gonna get. I'm not gonna get any better.
I could never get tired of dragon riding. Actually, it's probably I once said to a friend who was sort of still on Wrath, and he was kind of going like, why have you gone to Dragonflight, mate? It's it's retail. What's going on? And I said, well, first of all, I am a retail player. I enjoy retail. But second of all, dragon riding is better than the entirety of Shadowlands. And he then went and bought Dragonflight and played it and literally messaged me that on the same day and went, dude, you were right. Dragon riding is better than the entirety of Shadowlands. And it's the truth. Like, it's so good.
I think that's a pretty low bar to compare against, though. I'd say dragon riding is really good. It's really fun. The race tracks, the routes are really fun. World, like just flying around, there's some aspects to dragon riding that I don't like. Like there's
like what?
Like if I'm trying to swoop through a zone, especially like, so my paladin's a miner and a jewel crafter. So like I'll be flying, and if I'm either up really high and kind of going slow, but hoping that I keep enough momentum that I don't stall out and then just fall. But then I have to like scan the mini map to see what the nodes are, because I don't want to hit every single node. That's, you know, I run out of dragon riding juice way too fast. And then like sometimes I'm trying to find, and like to get in and try to find the actual node, like I end up wasting like 3 or 4 jewels of dragon riding juice just to try to get to where that node is. Sometimes like there's some really weird stuff there, and that works. Oh, today, guess I was flying around the Waking Shore, and I found a molten Severite node floating in the air off the branch of a tree.
No way.
Yep.
Eek.
Yeah.
How did that get there?
Like just there's a branch. So there's like the mountain wall. There's like a tree like off the ground near it, and then one branch was over, and the node was just off to the side. It must have been like touching just by a leaf. Like literally, it was. I was like, how do I even get that? And there always, like, I find it all the time. Like there'll be a node that'll be like on the sheer wall of a mountain. And with the dragon riding, like, you know, before we had your griffin or whatever, you could fly in and hover in and like maybe just land on top of it to mine it. Not with dragon riding. No, you like slap into that wall, and next thing you know, you're like veering off to who knows where. I can't stop half the time. I'll like land, and next thing you know, my dragon's still running straight for some elite mob while I'm still trying. I wanted to mine the node back there, but apparently landing on the ground wasn't good enough. If I don't like slam the dragon into the ground, and even then sometimes he just keeps running anyways, and I don't have auto run on. Like literally my hands off the keyboard, and he's just like still like trying to run along. Whatever. Those are my beefs about dragon riding. Otherwise, you're right. Dragon riding can be fun, especially if you're like if you're just flying around just for the sake of flying around. It's a blast. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, 100%.
I guess just for resource gathering, it's a pain in the ass. Road Ahead, the 2023 Road Ahead. I think it's absolutely amazing that they did this. I can't remember the last time they put out a roadmap for the year to give us an idea of what was coming. Yeah, I can't think of any time. Anyway, I want to speak to this quickly. So for this, we have patch 10.0.5 is dropping in the winter of 2023. So that's going to be January, February, right? And that's supposed to bring the trading post, Primalist tomorrow, and the white and gray transmogs. Okay, cool. 10.0.7 will be happening in the spring, and it's going to be Return to Forbidden Reach, the Heritage Armor for Orcs and Humans, and then some holiday updates. Okay, cool. And then Season 2 is going to be patch 10.1, and that's going to drop sometime between spring and summer, somewhere, because the next one is patch 10.1.5 is in the summer, and that's going to be a mega dungeon, some more world events, content, and system updates. So I put on your tinfoil hat, Jake. I'm gonna have that. When do you think Season 2 is going to hit? Like, looking at that, where do you think how many weeks are we looking at?
It's I'd have to. I think personally, I think Season 2. Well, I mean, Season 2 is in between 10.0.7 and 10.1. I think if it's in between summer and spring, I think we'll get Season 2 around. Has to be like May, June.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get Season 2 probably around well, I mean, it has to be. It says spring and summer, so I imagine that's in between it. So May, June for me, or probably May. I think is probably the best time for that. So it's January now. So January, February, March, April, May. That's 5 months of we've had almost a month
too.
now.
Yeah,
yeah, we did. So it's about 6 months. That's about half a year for a season. That seems long enough to me.
All right. I really hope it's April, because I think that's a little long. I still think 5 months is long. Right. All the December, then January, February, March into April. That's 5, maybe 4.5 months.
I think it always depends. It depends on what. For me, it really depends on how you enjoy the game. Because for me, who works full time, like I don't get done what if you don't work, or if you are studying, or you're doing other things, or content creation is your work. Then, and you get to play the game all day, every day, I'd understand why 5 months might feel like an eternity to you. In my opinion, having 5 months means that, okay, you know what? I've gotten the time. I spent the time. I probably spent the first 2 months trying to get a team together to kind of push my rating. And then by the end of the 5 months, I'm actually just I've gotten what I want, and I'm playing alts just for fun, and enjoying the patch and enjoying what we've got in other classes. I think that for me is the ideal there. So in that regard, it's that's my opinion on it. I think it really depends on your perspective of time with these sort of things. But I think there obviously have been patches where and seasons that have been really long, like 7 months, 8 months, and that's just way too long.
You brought up a good point, and that's we kind of talked about it earlier, but the alt friendliness of Dragonflight. I guess 5 months of a season isn't that long when it's not difficult to play other aspects of the game, play some alts, get that other take, that other feel. If you're tired of DPSing, maybe do a healer spec or a tank spec and do that as well. So that's a good point. I guess I just feel like 5 weeks or 5 months seems like a long time out of a year for a season. I'm guessing if season 2 is dropping spring summer, and then season 3 is dropping after or into the late part of fall, early winter this year, and assuming that Dragonflight is going to be a 2-year expansion like they did with the last couple, it looks like we're only going to be getting 4 seasons, maybe 5. Is my math off there?
Well,
Because I'm thinking 2024, right?
yeah, I mean that would be when it finishes, really, wasn't it?
Mhm.
I think, to be honest with you, season 3, I think. Well, I mean, it depends. If they go for a 10.3, then we will probably then we would have like 4 seasons.
Yeah.
I think to be honest with you, I think what most people really enjoyed was the Legion seasons, where we had quite a lot of different seasons that happened. And even though we had multiple different seasons, you could still get the same sort of like mounts and stuff like that. But with those seasons where you brought patch notes and changes and things like that, that I think would be awesome. But it looks like they do have a solid roadmap and a solid thing that they want to do. So
Mhm.
I think realistically, it would be awesome if we got 4 seasons. I think the more seasons there are in an expansion, the better, because it means there's more opportunities for things to change and for things to be
Yeah,
updated.
that's true.
I'd say maximum we're going to probably have 4 seasons from what it looks like. They'll probably go to a 10.3 or a
Mhm.
10.2.5, and that'll be. And it depends on, I guess, what their sort of decisions on that is and what the next expansion would be. But yeah, that would be my feelings on that one.
I just going to put on my tinfoil hat and wonder if season 4 is going to be an exploration or an experimentation season, similar to what season 4 was in Shadowlands.
Entirely possible. I think I like
Yeah.
that idea. I like that idea that you can think about, okay, you know what, season 4 is a way for us to test how PvP is going to be in the next expansion. I think, you know what, fair enough. Like
Yeah.
that's cool. Like, whack on some of the like, it should happen during pre-patch. There should be like limited rewards for it, but it'll be an interesting, like, or some sort of update with certain things, like certain balancing things or certain new changes to talents and stuff like that. And you just throw that in there, but still with like the Dragonflight stuff, and go from
Yep.
there. And I think that would be sick.
That'd be awesome. I like experimental seasons, especially at the tail end. Those are kind of fun. I mean, really, season 1's an experimental season on its own because everybody's trying to figure out what everything's doing, right? So that's
Yeah.
different. Okay. Wrath of the Lich King, classic season. It's ending the 9th of January, so literally everybody has 1 week left to push any rating that they want. Um, I think that is kind of self-explanatory. Not sure how much, if there's going to be like a gap between season end and the next season starting. There was a follow-up post I saw. It was a blue post, I think, where they were talking on the official forums. They're saying how they weren't going to be changing the item levels on the tier gear again. And I think some about they weren't expecting Ulduar hard mode, people to be clearing Ulduar hard mode to the levels that I guess community was talking about it. Anyway, but either way, season ending. That means another season's going to come around. Another another raid tier. And with that, we're going to see the change where they bring in the what's it the heroic gear, and the dungeons of the raids and everything from the previous tiers are going to be one upped, if I remember correctly. So then they'll become the catch up tiers to get to the current tier of rating, which is kind of cool. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yes. And
Are you? Oh,
the what you're looking at is the post about, I think, about how they're not going to be sort of like basically pushing the item levels further, and
yes.
that they kind of want to keep it sort of like, okay, everyone wants to get item like 252, but in reality that's going to be like chase pieces. You're going to aim, okay, yeah, awesome, I've got that piece, like it's like an
Yeah.
extra added bonus piece. from the hard mode stuff that's going to be good for you. But most people aren't going to achieve that. So.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. I didn't say it properly because I was talking off the top of my head. That's why I'm supposed to.
I just happened to have it up. Actually, that was the reason why it's. Because I was like, oh, you must be talking about this, and I swapped to the tab where I had that open. So I was like, oh, I was reading that earlier. So that's really useful.
There you go. Hey, I hear that you're just like being super smart and like. I don't know.
I say I am super smart, super handsome, super tall.
Super shaman. It's all
super shaman, exactly. And
all
of those things equal shaman.
That is true. It takes a certain brain to be able to play shaman at a very high level. The last one here just came out just this evening, just as we were getting into the podcast. But Holinka tweeted out a very interesting tweet saying, I'm always curious about player thoughts on Deepwind Dunk. It plays different than other battlegrounds, and I would feel like we could probably do more iteration on it. So I don't know. What do you think about Deepwind Dunk?
Well, I can't remember it, to be honest with you. That's the truth of it all. I actually can't remember. So I haven't played that in such a long time. The brawls that I've done are very limited.
So I think Deepwind Dunk is the fun one. So it's based off of the original iteration of Deepwind Gorge, where you had you had to run carts back and forth, and you had the map in the spot in the center, and you had your two end zones, if you will. And if I remember correctly, what you had to do is you have to run to one end and they have like glowy balls, and then you have to run with the glowy ball all the way back to your end zone and drop it off. And I think there's up to 3 at a shot. And so it's a different game in that, it's just running balls back and forth, and you can try to stop the person from getting through the center or getting to the other end. I think you're right, Mortide. Jake, just go play it.
Yeah, I guess that's the truth.
Kind of ends the conversation right now, but I think that's the best way is if you went and played it. But I don't know. I think it's neat. I think it was a neat take on the original Deepwind Gorge. Is there a different iteration you could do with it? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Kind of reminds me of any of those baton races or those family games you have where like like the egg on the spoon, and you have to like run around and bring it back and forth, or any of that where you have to go and get something from one end of the gym and then run it back to the other end, in the basket, and do that a few times, that kind of thing. I don't know. I think it's I think there's so many different games out there that are of physical nature that could be turned into a battleground that isn't just king of the hill on a map, or hold a flag, cap a flag, or just stand there and gain resources passively because you happen to own that node. I think there's so many more things they could do.
Yeah, for sure. I think there'd be. I really. I would love to get more battlegrounds. In fact, actually, speaking of battlegrounds, but also just new things in general with Dragonflight, what do you think of Nokud Proving Grounds?
Oh, the new arena?
Yes, that is called Nokud Proving Grounds. I'm right, aren't I?
Yeah, no, you're right. The Nokud Proving Grounds, the new arena map they brought into Dragonflight. I like it. I feel like the wall in the middle is a little long.
Well, in my opinion, it's a super great map for like melees, and there's so many walls and warlocks as well. Oh,
yes,
it's a very good map for warlocks.
It definitely favors certain classes. I'll say that. I don't know. I just feel like the wall, the one wall that runs line wise, it just feels like it's a little long. I don't know. I don't know why. It just feels like it feels like it goes on a little too, like it goes on forever.
It does
No,
go on forever.
not as much as Mugambala. Don't get me wrong. That one's long, but I still feel like that wall could be a little bit shorter, maybe by a couple feet. But what do you think of it? Do you think it is balanced? Do you think it's an unbalanced map? Do you do you like the wall?
I think it's too soon to really know whether it's a problem or not. I think the issue for me more than anything is the fact that I feel like it majorly favors melee because of the fact that you can easily get back to a pillar on a go.
Yeah.
Because so many melee have gap closers and things that gets them out of trouble really easily. And so in my head, like it's sort of like that's the problem for me, is that it just is such heavily favored by melee that I don't know, I kind of feel myself kind of like just having to chase them, into
Yeah.
Narnia in order to do anything. So it's incredibly annoying.
Well, thankfully, there's not a Lion, a Witch, or the road wardrobe on the other side of that map, so you're okay.
Yeah, thankfully.
All right. Well, I'll say if anybody has a thought that they want to give Holinka, by all means, you can find him on Twitter. The link's going to be in the show notes. And while you're thinking about what you want to tell him about the Deep Wind Dunk, I'm going to ask Jake to tell me who his shout out is for the week.
Shout out for the week. I think I'm just gonna say everybody. Like, I think that our listeners, I think they deserve a shout out because it's a new year. It's 2023, and we've had some, we've had a really fantastic 2022. I think we were just discussing before the start of the show, like how long I'd even been on technically PvP, and I think we've kind of discovered it's basically a year almost. So that's really cool. A year of doing technically PvP, which has been awesome, and I think it's super awesome. So I'm really happy, and I want to thank all the listeners for being so supportive.
Indeed. I'm actually really happy that everybody stuck around, even with the Shadowlands doldrums that we had. I think I was really expecting to see a bit more of a dip over Shadowlands, but I'm happy that people are listening to our ramblings and enjoying them. I will, kind of a shout out, but also kind of a reminder that we still have that affiliate link with Skillcapped. So if you're feeling that you want to sign up to Skillcapped and give them some of your hard-earned cash to use any of their products, use hashtag technically PvP with their pricing plan, and that'll give you a discount and save you some of your hard-earned cash while getting access to that great service of information that they have over there. I know Big has been working his butt off to update all of their content for Dragonflight, and I'm pretty sure they're up to speed. I think the only thing that they were still working on was a couple of the specs. I want to say Warlock was one of them, but I could be wrong. Anyway, I think there's still a few that they're still trying to get to, and really it was because I think they had the content ready, and then the devs made hot fixes, and then they had to change the content because it was slightly off, but that's okay. All right, Jake, why don't we tell everybody who doesn't know where they can find us on the interwebs?
Of course. You can contact us directly with a tweet to @technically_PvP or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on the Bonus Roll Productions Discord. Also, you can visit the Bonus Roll website to find the podcast directory with us and many other great shows at www.bonusroll.gg. This directory also has a review system, so head over there and tell everyone what you think of your favorite shows, including our own.
Indeed. And like always, links for everything we talked about are going to be in the show notes. I want to thank everybody for listening. Enjoy this extra short episode, and we will chat with you next time.